Warning, this video may contain graphic content, such as sexual scenes, violence, gore, boobies, and the rest of the fun stuff. Please be over 18 to view this, and don't say we didn't warn you, little sinners.
Endlessly searching for an original sin.
Hey guys, welcome back to The Letter. Let's pop back in. Exasperation soon replaces a dull ache. The memory's a little fuzzy, but the addict and...
There was someone, Rose. In the attic.
Someone? You mean a client? Oh, that's unlikely. It's probably just one of the cleaning crews. The boss sent a few of them back this morning for some last-minute...
No, not any of those. I'm not actually sure. Wait, didn't I call you? You said you were in the attic when you answered. That's why I went there in the first place.
Darling, you couldn't imagine I'd go there. That place is haunted. I mean, what? I'd never go there. Both Rose and the lady looked at me like I just grew another head. Did I say something weird? Rose quickly cast an apologetic smile at the woman before the awkward silence screeches and on further. It's her saleswoman smile, the same one she taught me back when I was still her trainee. I should show this to troublesome clients just to avoid trouble in general, she advised. It's also the same one she gives me when I've done something particularly absurd that may cause us to lose a potential client. Her eyes are serious when she turns back to me. She takes both hands and gently squeezes. She takes both my shoulders and gently squeezes with as much patience as she can muster.
As much as I'd love to have gotten at least a heads up of your arrival, I didn't really get a call from you.
Here's my cell phone, woman. I will show you all of the proof. Why do I feel like I've done this before? I might have done a failed recording. I don't remember.
You know, signal here is absolutely horrendous. I was in the garden earlier and couldn't even make a single call. Isabella, I'm going to ask again. Are you really all right? What happened?
This is the point of you'd kill a sale.
I don't know. It's all a bit blurry. I remember I was looking for you, but you weren't in the attic. And there's... whoever it is. Then I must have tripped on a rug or something on the way down.
Yes, it's totally not haunted, darling. Don't even worry.
Oh no. Do you think someone came in while you were out? You left the main door open!
You're blaming her for that?
We are so going to get into big trouble if something gets stolen, Rose!
Kid, you're lucky she doesn't kill you.
Perhaps it is a concussion.
Are you sure you feel fine? We could still call for an ambulance. I could cover for you.
No, I'm fine. I'm okay, Rose. I can work.
Wait. Hold your horses, Rose. I can't just miss an important sale because of a minor bump on the head. An extremely minor bump. I've had worse when I was a kid. This is nothing.
Besides, if I leave, you'll have to shoulder everything in the open house. Alone. And in a mansion this big?
Well, there's also the part where I may lose that bonus PRC promised, but that's completely beside the point. Rose gives me a skeptical look when I return the cold compress to her and push myself off the floor. I have to use the staircase railings to steady myself, but otherwise I feel fine.
See? I'm A-okay.
Why do I not? There we go. The two of them exchange a worried glance as Rose assumes the contemplative look. I bite my lower lip in anticipation if she says no.
Right, you in.
A smile threatens to slip out of me.
If I see that you aren't feeling well, I'm taking you personally to the nearest clinic to have you checked. Clear?
Clear as day, ma'am. Thanks, Rose.
You insisted. But remember what I said. First sign of you looking not okay, and we're off. No questions asked.
It's just a small bump. Don't worry.
You shouldn't downplay these kinds of things. It could be a serious injury for all we know.
Suddenly a small cough sounds against the walls of the foyer, interrupting the banter. I don't know why it takes a minute for it to load up. The woman is looking expectantly at the two of us, her stare making me shrink back a little on myself. She isn't really intimidating. Well, she is, but not in the scary negative way. Far from it. Actually, her demeanor simply commands an air of sophistication and respect. In a different world, a younger me would have probably wished to be like her. At our lack of response, she coughs again, lifting a well-trimmed eyebrow at me in question. Words caught up in my throat at the sight of it, and Rose, as usual, is swift to catch my blunders.
My sincerest apologies, Mrs.
Miss McCulloch. Marianne McCulloch.
Right in the throat right there. She must be Scottish, maybe McCulloch, or Irish. Maybe Welsh. She hands Rose her business card. The word interior designer catches my eye before my partner flips it over. Oh, probably someone interested in the mansion for its 17th century influences then. I won't hold it against her, though. Despite the hearsay and remaining uninhabited for years, the mansion's original fittings and furniture have been kept completely intact and restored to pristine condition. I suppose some people find that trip to the past feeling appealing. After all, with what it offers, this place could also be a haven for people looking to live somewhere with a classic historical charm.
Miss McCullough, I'm Rose Cooper, and this is my partner, Isabella Santos. We're just ironing out a few things, but we'll be starting the tour soon enough. In the meantime, we've prepared some refreshments for you in the parlor while you're waiting. If you could please.
Thanks. There's no need for it, though. I just dropped by for a quick survey of the place.
Believe she is.
I thought I should check the estate before I meet with the homeowners.
Rose's confusion is impossible to miss when she glances at me, and I return it with an equally perplexed look. And against my better judgment, I blurt out the first question that comes to mind.
I'm sorry. Homeowners?
I should have kept my mouth shut. A flash of irritation crosses her face, but it instantly disappears under a mask of professional detachment.
Yes. Hannah Wright?
I was hired by her to handle the interior design for their newly bought home.
Did they buy it?
This is the Ermengarde mansion, right?
Yes, but as far as we know, nobody owns it.
It is, but...
She pauses, possibly trying to find the right words to fix the awkward situation without offending someone. Oh, you've given me choices. We'll check with our supervisor. Those few moments have given me enough time to clear my head of any nervousness or confusion clouding it.
It is, ma'am, but we weren't aware the mansion has already been sold.
What do you mean?
I almost flinch as she turns her gaze on me, but I stand my ground. Besides, it isn't like I haven't dealt with awkward situations like this before. I may screw up at times, but that doesn't mean I haven't learned a thing or two in the few years I've worked in this business.
The mansion is indeed for sale, ma'am. Today's the open house, in fact. However, we haven't heard anything from the higher-ups that a deal has already been closed for this particular property. If you'd like, my co-agent and me can check with them right now.
She nods seemingly in deep thought after I've finished. She appears to be a reasonable person. Anyway, given the proper explanation, she'd surely understand.
I thought something looked odd when I arrived here. Excuse me, I think I need to make a call to my secretary. Thank you for your assistance, Miss Santos.
With a slight wave of her hand, she leaves. That seems to be the end of it. Both Rose and I breathe a sigh of relief. Disaster averted. I also don't miss the thumbs up she gives me for doing a good job, and I can't help but swell with pride. Still, I've already prepared myself to dial the number of our Luxbourne office and check even if she didn't ask for it. I will be very frustrated if, for some reason, something has already been decided without my or Rose's knowledge. That's a whole new level of unfair. We've been working hard on this. Moments later, Miss McCullough returns, looking a little frustrated, but with an apology clear on her face. I feel a little sorry for her having to go through all this trouble.
There seems to have been a little misunderstanding with my client. If you'll allow it, I'd like to stay and wait for them here. I was informed they'll be dropping by for the open house today. I figured it'd be a waste to just leave after that long drive. I might as well meet him here.
Certainly. You could stay at the parlor in the meantime, ma'am. I'm sure it won't be long before our guests arrive. And, Isabella, I left a few documents in my car. You know where I keep those. Can you please get it for me?
Rose takes a glance at her wristwatch before tossing me a set of keys.
And hurry! You've still got a few minutes to double-check those papers.
Okay, got it.
The two of them disappear behind the parlor doors. Their departure brings with it a stillness to keep me company, neither welcoming nor comforting. Alone like this, it's impossible not to think of what really happened. I wish the memory isn't as elusive as it normally is. Then again, Rose already said she didn't receive any call from me. Was it just paranoia? A temporary lapse for having heard all those tales about this place? Probably. I want to think of it as such. Better to think of it as such so I can work in peace. Except a small part of my mind begs to differ, and if I am going to be completely honest with myself, I want nothing more than to leave this place as soon as possible. I don't know what is in this house, and I don't want to know. The keys Rose have just handed me dig into my palm, its jagged edges creating as shallow ridges on my skin from how hard I'm clutching it. It's a reminder of what I still need to do and why I've taken this job in the first place. Hugging my blazer close to my body, I exit the house to get what Rose asked of me. Just a few more hours, Isabella. Sell the house, get the money. A flock of people have already gathered in the mansion's front yard by the time we officially open the doors. I'm not sure whether I should feel baffled or underdressed standing in their presence. Men and women of wealth and status, all dressed to the nines in fancy suits and lovely dresses of varying colors, compose the medium-sized crowd. Their necks, arms, and fingers are adorned with silver and gold, glinting in the afternoon sun. Some even have ridiculously fancy feathered hats on their heads. I really hope there aren't any magpies living nearby, like in the stories. Those birds will have a field day in this. They are murmuring among themselves, looking at the estate facade, appraisingly, with some arguing about whose mansion has the superior architecture. But most of it stops as Rose calls to their attention. They don't look too pleased at being ordered around, but what can you do about it?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rose Cooper, and this is my partner, Isabella Santos. We'll be taking a tour of the mansion in 2 groups. Please make sure you filled up our sign-in forms before joining a specific group.
Those who want to look around the first floor, please follow my partner. I'll be guiding the ones who wish to see the ground floor.
Hearing this, a few wander to me. They are mostly old ladies who seem daunted at the idea of climbing those stairs. Miss McCulloch also joins our group, but what really catches my eye is the elegantly dressed pair as she approaches.
It's so nice to finally meet you! When Chief Inspector Lee mentioned that a famous interior designer is in town, I knew I had to get you!
Your confidence in my skills is very flattering, ma'am.
I'm sure you won't disappoint, Marianne.
Oh, you know each other?
Not at all, ma'am.
You mentioned something about a Marianne on our way here, darling?
Oh, yes, I think I did.
Ah, they must be the clients she was talking about. I might have seen their faces somewhere before, some magazine or the television. I can't quite remember. But then again, most of our guests have likely ended up on the news, one way or another. I won't be surprised if those two already have. For people who are popular, though, they aren't dressed as loudly as the others, and in their simplicity, the couple stands out. The woman in particular is stunning enough to turn the heads of most people in my group, especially the men with wandering eyes. The guy standing beside her doesn't seem to mind, though. And if I'm going to be a bit bolder with my assumptions, I'd say he's basking in the attention. Both of them, in fact. I think they are brother and sister if it wasn't for their public display of affection. The matching rings on their fingers just cement the fact that they are indeed a couple. Whatever. Couple or not, what's important is we get this deal closed before the current owners can even think of canceling the listing. I just hope one of the people in my or Rose's group is brave and generous enough to buy this mansion. And so, with papers in hand, I lead the way. When they aren't whispering among themselves or going ooh and ah over one thing or another, they ask questions. From how the restoration process went to the history of the place, I answer them all, more than happy to talk about the art pieces and architecture mostly. However, I'm more careful not to mention anything about the urban legend. Not a good material for sales talk, even if the entire population of Luxbourne knows about it.
Some of the furnishings here are actually the 17th century originals, all of which have undergone a painstaking restoration process just to return its original beauty.
Even the glass thing. Colorful ones. Oh, I don't know, but you get the idea, I hope.
Especially that one, ma'am. It is said to be a gift commissioned by the fiancé of Lady Charlotte Ermengarde. The mansion's current owners have specifically requested that the restoration crew take great care in handling it. It's a priceless work of art and the most distinctive feature of the mansion.
By the time I've stopped talking, her attention is already elsewhere.
Isn't this place wonderful, darling? I told you it's not a total waste of your time.
I don't know. Isn't it a bit too small? We might have to break a wall down to have more room.
Well, I think it is just right. Don't you think so, Marianne?
It is splendid, ma'am. But isn't it a little too early to make plans when no deal has been signed yet?
Never mind that. It isn't going to be a problem. We've got a wonderful legal team to handle everything. Start taking notes, though. I think I've got a few things I want changed before we move in.
The rest of their conversation gets lost in the shadow of our companions. I don't want to make any assumptions yet, but their sheer interest is enough to give me some semblance of hope. Oh, please, please, please let these guys be the one. Eventually, our group reaches the kitchen. Much like the rest of the house, a great deal of effort has been put into retaining the room's classical appeal. The open hearth at the end of the room in particular looks amazing, like the ones I've seen only in fairy tale books. And mad props to the cleaning crew. Seriously, after overhearing hundreds of their complaints about the soot and tar staining the bricks and how much of a pain in the arse cleaning this'll be, they still managed to pull this off. Or make it look presentable at least.
The highlight of the room, however, is what's underneath this hatch here.
Oh, don't say anything yet! An underground wine cellar!
This is the first time the guy in the gray speaks up. Mr. Luke Wright, my memory supplies from the forms they signed earlier. His sudden attentiveness catches me off guard. Since the start of the tour, only his wife has shown any form of genuine interest in the place. But this time, something lights up in his eyes at the mention of the Undercroft. What's so interesting about a basement? I really don't understand rich people sometimes. Right now, he just gives me an impression of a child who has seen what he was absolutely wanting for Christmas. I've always found it cute whenever I see children act that way, my younger siblings especially. Oh, and a grown man? It's almost funny.
Yes, sir. It could house around 7,000 to 11,000 bottles of wine.
Jeez Louise! I would turn that into one heck of a recording area.
Truly. And the room, how was it built?
The bricks that were used to build the cellar have been carefully picked for the purpose of maintaining and preserving a constant temperature and humidity in the room. It's a good place to keep your private collection in if you have one, sir.
It keeps the corks in good condition.
Oh, love. Didn't you say before that you wanted to make your own personal vineyard?
Perhaps you could start one here.
You know we're going to need space for that, darling.
And this isn't big enough?
If it's space you're worried about, sir, the Ermengarde mansion sits on a 46-acre lot. There's plenty of room for it. We were told that the original owners had a horse stable built here before, too.
There's a contemplative expression on Mr. Wright's face, but he doesn't say anything further. His wife, however, seems really pleased that he started to show interest, if only a little. I smiled to myself. I may not completely understand how these people's minds work, but I sure as hell know how to spot a buyer with sincere interest. Score! I can't wait to tell Rose. The rest of our tour goes by without a hitch. After more than half an hour, we're able to cover almost every room on the ground floor and are heading to the parlor. Funny, the first time BRC had almost had us survey the property, I kept complaining to Rose how big it is. Now I can't even bring myself to care, no matter how much my feet hurt. Maybe this is just my excitement over the possible sale. When we reach the parlor, however, an odd feeling washes over me. It starts off as a small goosebump in my skin, a feeling of being watched intently. Perhaps in my ear and shadows whispers in my ear and shadows dancing, lurking in the corner of my vision. And dark silhouettes that are gone when I turn to look. A chill settles down my spine, making me feel sick, and I start to break out in a cold sweat. I can't do this. I need to sit down for a moment. The old ladies in the group have been requesting for a break anyway. If I can just...
Excuse me? Everyone? We will be taking a 15-minute rest here before we visit the first floor. In the meantime, please help yourselves to the refreshments and snacks we prepared.
It's actually a really nice bar.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to approach me. I'd be happy to help you.
I let them sit while I retreat to a quiet corner to recover. It's not what you think. Don't think about it. It's not what you think. I probably just caught Becca's cold. Don't think about it. I'm left alone for a good while, same words spilling out of my lips in the silent prayer, until a hand taps my shoulder.
Hello, you there? Yes, ma'am? Oh, look at you! Having to show a group around a mansion this big must be exhausting. Not a problem, ma'am. I'm just doing my job. What a hard worker! Anyway, Isabel, right? Isabella, actually. But yes, what can I help you with, ma'am, right? Please, just Hana. Call me Hana. I just wanted to ask, how soon are we able to move in?
My brain completely stops. The sick feeling plaguing me is suddenly gone, replaced by utter bewilderment. Is this a joke? She looks at me expectantly as I struggle to come up with an answer.
Wait, ma'am, you see, but we haven't even negotiated a price yet, ma'am. We haven't even finished touring the rest of the mansion. A sale would be great and all, but...
She stops me from speaking any further and puts a hand on my shoulder. For a moment, with her tight smile, she looks as if she's tasted a particularly sour lemon.
Oh, please, sweetie, don't insult me. Money is not a problem. And, just between you and me, this place is better off with us than with some old lady who'll probably just fill it up with cats. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with having cats here, Ma'am Hana. I'm sure there's more than enough space here if you want pets.
Perhaps I'm still not feeling well, but really, what's wrong with cats? More importantly, why is she talking about moving in already?
Well, I'm more of a dog person. But you see, this is going to be a gift to my darling. It's going to be our anniversary soon. And it would be so wonderful if you can secure its purchase for us. Why, I can even offer something extra if you help us out with the paperwork. We actually have a process for this, ma'am. I don't really think that would be necessary or appropriate.
And just what are you two lovely ladies talking about here? Leaving me and our lovely interior designer to talk here by ourselves. What would the people think, darling?
Oh, it's just small talk, love. I was asking if she could help me with the paperwork.
I try not to wince when her nails dig into my shoulder. I can't help but send an imploring look at Miss McCulloch, who only gives me an apologetic smile and a shrug.
Yeah, I can give you a fact sheet and a form to fill out.
She wastes no time in taking the papers from my hand and shuffling through the bunch. Oh man, Rose is going to be so angry at me for letting her do that.
Wonderful. And Marianne, I'd really love to talk to you about those changes. You took some notes earlier, yes?
Wouldn't a real estate person just be like, oh my god, I got a sale, yeah!
I did, Mom. But I really hope that this time...
Excellent. Hopefully you can help us out too, Isabel. Isabella. Right. It's a lovely name, Isabel. It's Isabella. Yes, that's great. We'll be more than happy to put in a good word to your superiors too, and... What's this?
A look of confusion and disgust appears on her face. Turning to her husband, he merely shrugs in reply. Those eyes.
That's, an interesting work of art. Not to my taste, though. I'm sorry.
Darling, Buttercup, art is a complete overstatement for this garbage. It looks like a cheap prop from a D-list horror film.
Shush, love. Let the girl do what she pleases with, what do they call this? Oh, forget about it. At the very least, it's not as dreadful as the one art exhibit I was forced to attend last month. You should have seen it, Marianne. Even you would have been appalled. But I'm sure you'll know what to do with our walls once we get started.
I highly doubt it is as bad as you say, Ma'am. Nevertheless, you can be assured that my team will only pick whatever suits your tastes. Nothing of this chain letter sort, of course. It has to always work with a palette.
I'm quite sure chain letters these days don't come in this... form.
It's my turn to be puzzled. What do they mean? Rose and I double-checked everything. Are the papers I handed not enough? I want to ask what I did wrong. I don't want to mess this up. But with the way Ma'am Hannah's leading this conversation, I'm afraid that's exactly what will happen if I do interrupt her.
That's good to hear. See, darling, isn't she an absolute delight to work with? I can't wait to see how this place will look when she's done with it.
Oh, you don't have to tell me that, Buttercup.
The way they're using the names, like the, can I say, yeah. The way they're using the pet names and stuff, I do have a feeling that they don't exactly get along. And let's check out some of our stuff. So it looks like, Marianne we're getting a better feel with. That's good. A smile is back on her face when she turns to me and hands me a strange piece of paper.
I would still put it away if I were you, though. Otherwise, people might get the wrong impression. Anyway, as I was saying...
I don't hear the rest of what she says after that. I can only stare down at the paper, at the letter in my hands. The sides crinkle in my grip and I breathe, my breathing grows labored. Dread quickly fills my mind.
Isabella? Isabella? Are you all right? You're looking pale.
I didn't even notice when Rose's group joined ours in the parlor. I want nothing more to do with that. No, I'm all right. I'm not all right. I want to leave this place because I remember everything as clear as day. This letter and those blood-soaked limbs in the attic. It's real.
The letter. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Careless. I've been so careless. How do I even tell them that without looking like I've gone mad? So guys, next time we'll make our decision. Thank you all for joining me. Check out all the links in the description. Check out our comic. And if you want a physical copy, keep an eye on our Patreon. We'll be making an announcement very soon about how you can get signed prints, physical comics, and everything else. Check it out. Check out our merch shop. Buy some awesome t-shirts and stuff like that. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.